great.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
I have a quick question. So I want to hear your story and why you're a motivational public speaker now. And I know that's a big part of what you do. But I was watching one of your videos, and I have such a problem with this word. But you've kind of made it not so bad. The grind, and I think it's because my ex always said, "Oh, back to the grind. I've just been grinding so many years." And I'm like, "Oh my god." It just
Right.
makes it feel like such a negative connotation to doing the work you love, if it is in fact work you love. And
Right.
you seem to be okay with it.
I love the grind. I do.
Ah.
I look forward to the grind. But I've always been an athlete. So like
Mm.
practices and wrestling practice and football practice, all the grind, because I just knew I was getting better. I was incrementally growing. So the grind for me is a positive. Like if I hear
Mm.
something, I'm grinding, I'm just like, right on, keep grinding.
Okay. So maybe not me having never been in sports. I never grew up with that terminology. So maybe I just need to reframe how it sits with me.
So here it is. So the grind, winning holds no value, absolutely zero value. And through the grind and failing and then tweaking something and failing forward, I call it failing forward,
Mm.
is when you do finally win, it's the grind that gave winning the value, not winning. I
Mm.
mean, so the grind for me it's special. It's like other people are just going through the motions. They're not
Yeah.
grinding, So for me, if I hear anybody's grinding, I just get a huge smile on my face. I'm just like, let's go, because they're going places. They're working on things.
Interesting. Yeah, because I guess because of the connotations that I heard, it just seemed like I'm doing all this work and I hate it so much. And that's the feeling I get out of it. I'm like, oh, who wants to grind? Like that sounds terrible. Love what you do. If you love what you're doing the work, but it's more like play because you're on purpose and you're doing all the things you love. So I will have to reframe my brain when I hear that it's not always a bad thing. For some people, it's their superpower.
Right. And just think of me. Next time you hear grind, think
Okay.
Blanche is grinding. I know he's grinding. I don't know how to quit. So yeah, there
I
you go.
love that. And so where do you think that comes from? Is it growing up in sports? Is it from what happened with you with your accident?
I have always just really enjoyed working hard. Like I love to sweat, but when it's appropriate, like when I'm all dressed up or I'm on stage, I don't want to be sweating. But like if I'm working, I want to sweat. If I'm at the gym, I want to sweat. So I enjoy physical labor because I know that my body's getting stronger or that I'm growing. So that's what the grind represents for me is
Okay.
growth, that I'm growing.
And
Not
putting in the work.
Yeah, because I mean, if you like the way your husband or ex-husband used to use grind that
Yeah.
negatively, that he they weren't grinding. They were a slave to the system, or
Hmm.
they're just, oh, I got to go do this again. Like I wake up and I'm like, I got to go do this again.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah.
got to go do this again. I get to go do this again. So
Yeah, and that's a big part of what you do is we get to do this. It's not I have to, I get to. And it's just that little bit of reframing that can make such a difference in everything that we do.
yeah, one letter from GOT to GET, literally
Mm,
one letter changes, it flips the coin to the other side. And there
yeah.
is the opposite in everything. There has to be. So if
Yeah.
people are in the grind and they're just like, oh, I got to go do this again, lean into that, because on the other side of, oh, I got to go do this again is I get it. I did it. But you got to grind. You got to grind.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think the grind is just doing the work of for me, it's what I love. So I don't consider it to be a bad thing. It's like, yeah, it's something I get to do. And anytime it gets hard, I find my gratitude in it. Like, yeah, but look, I get to do this because if I wasn't doing this, like we talked about earlier, then I might be working for somebody else who is telling me what to do. And I would hate that. So, yes, this is hard, but that would be worse for me.
For me as well. And for some people, it works having that steady pay, because
Yeah.
having a steady paycheck and all the things
Yeah.
that come along with working for a major organization. But with that comes cufflinks, and I don't like I'm like you. I do not like being told, hey, you got to be here at 9 until 5. It doesn't matter you got things done or not. You're going to be here from 9 to 5. And just that rat race, I'm just not built for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you've been doing what you're doing for the last 19 years now, sort of being the
Yeah.
master of your own destiny.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting. Being an electrical contractor before and starting my own company, and then this traumatic thing happening in my life, which actually gave me the road and the direction to become who I was always meant to be. So,
Yeah.
and I think through a lot of time through our challenges, we want to run from our challenge because it hurts. I mean, challenges, they hurt. They're not a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
And but there's so much growth that if you don't, I say this, if you've been hurt in the past, you've got to feel it to heal it. And a lot of the times we don't want to feel that again. But to heal it, you've got to feel it and go through those emotions and hopefully deal with them and process them and come out on the other side a better human being.
And how did you do that? Like, what was your process for healing?
Hmm. It was, this is crazy. So I'm laying there in the hospital and I'd just been told by a physician that I'd never walk again. And instantly, that voice in my head said, he's full of shit.
Mm.
He doesn't know who you are. And so instantly I went to work on two things. I went to work on negative criticizing people, and I literally rid myself of every negative criticizing person in my life.
Mm.
And which was difficult, but so easy compared to the next thing.
Okay.
The second thing I went to work on was the negative criticizing thoughts,
Mm.
that person that you are with 24/7. And anytime that voice in my head started saying anything negative at all, I would combat it with one thing. Before it could even finish its sentence, I would say, I'm the man. Yeah, but he said, I'm the man. But I'm the man. And I would cut it off. Now, I did this thousands of times every single day.
Yeah.
Anytime a negative thought, I did not allow negative thoughts into my mind. And it took 6 weeks. So for anybody listening, and maybe you're in a bad place, maybe you're in a good place. The difficulty to go from bad to good, it happens pretty quick, really
Yeah.
pretty quick. I think this is where you and I are at a little bit in our lives right now, is going from good to great.
Mm. Hmm.
Good to great takes exponentially more effort and more failure than going from bad to good. And I don't know that others don't understand that maybe you're in a bad place, maybe you're depressed or you're going through depression. To go from bad to good happens, it's fast, but you're going to have
Yeah.
to double and triple that effort to go from good to great.
Absolutely. How did you recognize? Because this is actually something we teach in the program, negative self talk. But how did you recognize negative self talk? Because it's so insidious. A lot of times we don't even realize we're saying the things we're saying until we accidentally say it out loud and somebody else says, oh my God, So, how did you start recognizing what you were hearing in your head?
So here it is. Wow, I've never talked about this. This is awesome. Um, when I was very young, I remember probably second grade, third grade, there was a girl that I was really attracted to, and she was attracted to me, and then all these other girls
Did you say
were.
second grade you were attracted to a girl?
Oh my,
Wow.
I was that guy that chased the girls, and then they chased me, and then
Yeah.
be up against the chain link
And you
fence.
pulled
The
some
whole school
pigtails.
would be there, and everybody's counting 1, 2, 3, and you would go in for it, and then everybody run away. I was that guy.
Uh,
Yeah, interested in girls at a very early age. And I remember, like yesterday, I went home and I sat up on my counter in my bathroom and I just analyzed my face. I analyzed
mm,
my eyes and my teeth and my smile and everything, because the outside world saw that as handsome, as attractive. And so I that was my definition of being handsome and attractive at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
So now I don't say this arrogantly, but I mean, I'm handsome. I know this.
Yeah.
I don't hope it. I know that I'm handsome. I know that I have a great smile. I've got a charisma. People are drawn to me, and I own all these superpowers.
Yeah.
Are there things I need to work on? Hell yes, there are things, and I work on them every day. But as soon as I had, at a very early age, convinced myself, hey, the world enjoys looking at you and hanging around you. So when this doctor came in and said, hey, this, that, and the other, it was very easy for him to compartmentalize me and put me
Yeah.
on a shelf, say, hey, he's a T12 spinal cord injury, he's never going to walk again. Because he's seen thousands just like mine throughout his career. Like he
Yeah.
knew what he was saying, right? And for me, I was like, okay, this is a negative criticizing person. I'm going to compartmentalize them as well. I truly don't have any need for them. So when that happened, I was just like, hey, I'm the man. But I did come up with those 3 words in the hospital. I'm the man.
Mm, I
And
love that.
so I didn't try to convince myself with long sentences or anything. Very simple. Any
Mhm.
negative thought, cut it off. I'm the man. Ladies can say, I'm beautiful. I'm enough. I've always been enough. I mean, our
I
affirmations.
say I'm a badass bitch. That's
You
what I
are a
say.
badass bitch. I think because you are. I tell you what, my wife said it yesterday too. I'm like, babe, you just killed it on that. And she turned over to me. She's like, because I'm a badass bitch. And I'm like,
Yes.
you are.
Yep. That's the one that's works with your I'm the man.
Oh yes. Oh yes. I
And we
was
can't just say I'm a
that.
bitch because that has a bad connotation. But if I say I'm a badass bitch, that's the gold right there.
That's right. That's where you want to be. You want to be a bitch. Because
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, my daughter's a badass bitch. And she will.
Nice.
It's funny that you say that because that's kind of our thing. BAB. So we're having a baby. Well, my daughter's having a baby, hopefully today, seriously.
Oh, what?
Her
That's
first one, she
amazing.
be grandparents. So but on a couple of her onesies, we did at her BAB. And nobody knows what that means. But I guarantee my granddaughter, she could be a badass bitch too.
Heck yeah.
And it's just something that I can tell with you, it's something you believe. It's not
Yeah.
something you hope for.
Yeah.
It's something you wear, and people look at that like, what is that? And
Yeah.
how can she say that and be so confident behind, hey, I'm a badass bitch because you do hard things.
I do hard things and I do the work. Absolutely. Which is where the confidence comes from because it's like, hey, if I hate the cold and I can get in a cold plunge and I hate it, I'm a badass bitch. And that's where I say that a confirmation, that affirmation. You're a badass bitch. You're a badass bitch. As I'm like freezing and shaking.
I love it. Dude, cold plunges is on another level, isn't it?
The worst. They're the worst.
It's the worst, best thing that we do every day, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my hell. Yeah, I'm with you there, girl. I am with you there. My family says that I cheat with the cold plunge because I'm, paralyzed below the waist. So like, you only feel half of it, dad. You only feel half of it, honey. All right. Whatever. Hey, you're not cheating, you're not trying, right?
No, no. I mean, to be honest, the hardest things for me to put in are my hands. So if you're putting your hands in, you're there.
Same with my bride. She'll keep them
Oh,
out, but I mean, I tuck them in and kind of have them next to my legs and stuff. So still brutal, brutal.
rude.
She's brutal.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we've established you're the man and I'm a
I'm the man,
badass bitch.
and you're a badass.
So,
Hell yes.
if you don't mind, what happened with your accident? Let's just talk about that really quick. But then there's more questions I have for you.
Yeah, you bet. So January 16th of 2006, it was Martin Luther King Day.
Okay.
Uh, I woke up, I had just spent the weekend golfing with a bunch of my buddies on a bachelor trip down in Vegas. I lived in St. George, Utah.
Mm.
That particular morning, I woke up and it was raining outside. And I hurried out to my truck, jumped in the cab, and cruised across town to pick up one of my employees. And he's a 19-year-old punk kid, and his name's Brett. And he jumps in the cab of my brand new truck, runs from his house through the rain, and he has this long nappy hair. And he just gets in and shakes his head like a dog. And now there's rain literally everywhere, all over my brand new truck. I had 30 miles on this bad boy.
Oh,
And he turns to me and he says, Matt, put your seatbelt on, just like almost in the chest. And instantly, I saw red. You know, I'm like, look, Brett, clean up the water. Don't tell me what to do. I'm 30 years old and I'm your boss. So we
Mhm.
jumped on the highway, and as soon as we did that, we were heading up a canyon, up the mountains, and rain turns to snow. And Brett turns to me for a second time. He's like, Matt, you need to put your seatbelt on. And for the second time, I'm like, look, Brett, I gave him all the reasons. You know, I'm 6'2", 215 pounds, mountain of muscle. Uh, I'm your boss. Like all the reasons why I didn't need to put my
You don't
seatbelt.
like to be told what to do. You're
Oh,
like
come
me.
on.
Tell me not to do it or to do something. I will do the exact opposite.
Why? Okay, so maybe you can help me with that for real.
Yeah.
Why is it that when I am told you have to do this thing, no matter what that thing is, shower, eat a
Hmm.
piece of pizza, even if I'm
Hmm.
hungry, why is it that those words, you have to, instantly I'm like, bullshit, I have to.
Mm-mm. For me, what I've come to where I'm at with it is it's my free will. And someone saying, you don't have free will, you're going to do what I said. And for me, that's like death, not having my own free will to make my own decisions for some reason. That's the thing that drives me harder than anything. So, yeah.
Okay. That helps analyze it a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's you, but that's me. That's what drives me is someone taking away my free will.
And as I'm thinking about it, yeah, it's taking away my free will, and then just being so resolved to not having other options. There's
Yeah.
always another option. Everything's for sale.
Yeah.
Everything is for sale. So at the right, anyway, okay, here we go. So I tell him, hey, don't tell me what to do. And I point back at him and almost point him and hit him in his chest and like, Brett, don't tell me what to do. And now we go further up the canyon, and we experience whiteout conditions.
Mm.
And I am white knuckled on the steering wheel, focused on this semi truck's tail lights right in front of me. And I'm having this internal dialogue. And on one ear, hey, Matt, you need to put your seatbelt on. And on the other shoulder, hey, if you put your seatbelt on, Brett wins. Kid
Yeah.
you not? Kid you not? That was the conversation going on in my head. And the weather got so bad that the semi truck starts to exit the freeway, but I was late and 10 feet tall and bulletproof. So as I went through that semi truck's tracks, now I couldn't make out where I-15 started and where it stopped. And Brett, right then, for the third time that morning, says, Matt, please put your seatbelt on. And for a third time, I said, no. You
Mm.
know, not a still small voice or a warm, funny feeling, you know, someone sitting right next to me. Hey, protect yourself. Three times I said no. So pride and arrogance is what got
Yep.
me.
An ego, boy.
Oh my hell. So I lose control of the back end of my truck. I get completely sideways and I go down into the median between north and
Mm.
southbound traffic. And as soon as my wheels caught that fresh dirt, my truck launches into the air, comes
Mm.
down on the driver's side cab, rips my hands from the steering wheel, starts its second rotation, and now is throwing me through the cab like a rag doll. I was going everywhere.
Wow.
And in all, the truck rolled 2.25 times, ended up on the passenger door, and everything was black. I couldn't see a thing. And I was disoriented. I was confused. And I realized the reason everything was black and I couldn't see anything is that my hips were now covering my face. Like
Wow.
my back had gone into the steering wheel and I had literally snapped myself in two.
Wow.
So I'm laying there on the passenger door just like this. And I got the window behind me. Brett's buckled in right there. And I reached up over my head, grabbed my knees. And as I started bringing my legs back down, they just kind of flopped over each other. And Brett grabbed the one, and now I'm sitting on Brett's lap. And I knew immediately. I said, Brett, I'm paralyzed. I could hear the phone ringing in my pocket, and I could hear the vibration in my pocket,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I couldn't feel it. So it took emergency crews 2 hours because the weather was so bad. It took 2 hours to drive down, cut Brett and I out of that truck, transfer me to a gurney, put me in a helicopter, and airlift me to Salt Lake City, Utah. Because down here in St. George, where the accident happened, we were not a trauma one. They couldn't take
Mhm.
an injury like me.
Yep.
So life flight to LDS Hospital, Salt Lake, X-rays, MRIs, CTs. And what had happened, I didn't break into like a pencil. So I suffered a T12, so the 12th thoracic vertebrae, so about 2 inches above your belly button, a T12 compression burst. And there was
Mm.
so much pressure on my vertebrae that it grenaded in my back. And a piece of the bone went into my spinal cord just enough that at 30 years old, I lost everything below the
Oh,
waist.
and there
Yeah,
was no way to remove that and then back to
right,
normal.
right. So your spinal cord, like if you look at your spinal cord the wrong way, it's going to get pissed off. It's crazy, so temperamental. But it had gone into my cord. They did remove the bone, and they couldn't see any damage to my cord.
Yeah.
Uh, but it had been stretched and bent, and because of that, I'd lost everything at 30.
Yeah.
So I'm laying there in ICU, terrified, like so scared of everything.
Hmm.
Um, it's dark again, and I'm all by myself, and I hadn't sat up in 10 days, and all I wanted to do was sit up.
Mm.
Right? And every time I tried to sit up, it felt like something was holding me down. Like and then I thought, you know what, you're still strapped to that gurney or something. And I would look down and I couldn't see any straps, and I'd feel with my hands and I couldn't feel any straps. So the plan was I was going to grab my quads with my and come to a sitting position.
Yeah.
And I looked at my left hand, I had electrodes and tubes, so I couldn't use my right hand, but my left hand was free. So I reached down and grabbed my left quad, and I could not feel the touch of my own hand. And after 10 days, that's when it sank in. Hey, this really happened. You're still paralyzed. Uh, I went through 2 surgeries where with the first surgery, they went in and removed all the bone and shrapnel that was around my cord. And I was so big and muscular that I was bleeding out, and they could not keep that up with blood transfusions. So they had to sew me up and go in for a second surgery.
Wow.
And on that second surgery, my back is now held together with 2 titanium rods that literally run the full length of my spine. 12 titanium screws,
Mm.
and a basket. So this titanium basket, what they did is, if you can picture it, my 12th vertebrae is just gone. There's no vertebrae there anymore. So with having that spinal cord exposed, I would just bend. So they took this basket and it became my new vertebrae. And they took out one of my ribs, crushed it up, put it inside that basket, and let it
Whoa.
calcify. Yeah, it was intense.
Whoa.
Uh, and I finally realized the reason why I couldn't sit up in ICU wasn't because anything was holding me down. It was that I didn't know how to sit up anymore.
Mm.
So my abdominal muscles had been taken, and everything below the waist. I literally did not know how to sit up. I
Oh,
did not know how to roll over. I did not know how to go to the bathroom, shower. I didn't know anything anymore. And at 30, that was the most terrifying moment in my life.
yeah.
Crazy.
I mean, you were in your prime physically, mentally, work wise, like you were in your prime.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember laying there thinking, as I was trying, I just kept squeezing my quads, trying to, like,
Hmm.
I don't know. And
Yeah.
I decided I didn't want to live a life in a wheelchair, and that I wasn't going to live a life in a wheelchair. Um, so I need to figure out how to end this whole situation. And
Mm.
that's where I started focusing on, was all the things that had been taken. Um, all the not being, my kids were young. They were 5, 7, and 9 when the accident happened. Yeah.
Okay.
So my youngest has zero memories of his dad walking and running and the athlete I was, or I still am. Um, my little girl, now he's 23 today. My little girl, who's 25 today, has one memory, and she was seven when I got hurt. And my oldest son, who's 27, has just a handful. Um, but I remember thinking, if I can't run marathons, I was so in my head, so in my
Yeah.
head. I can't hike. if I can't walk on the beach, if I can't, like all the things that have been taken. And as we all know, negativity just,
Oh
you'll
yeah.
it just attracts more negativity, because whatever you
Yeah.
focus on in life, that's what you're going to find.
Yeah.
That's what,
Well,
so
and when you're looking at it through the lens of being taken from you, it's almost like this victim, like this, all this was done to me, which makes it even worse. It's not like I created this or this happened for me. It's like it's all being taken from me and it all happened to me.
yeah.
Yeah.
And you get that victim mindset,
Yeah.
victim mentality.
Yep.
And victims love hanging around victims. Victims
Hmm.
love them some victims.
They really do. They could commiserate all day about it.
Oh, hey, the crazy thing is that they don't care. They just want to be around each other and share in misery. It's not
Yeah.
that the other victim cares what the hell the other person is even going through. That's
Yeah.
what blows my mind, is
Yeah.
that you're telling these stories, but that other person, they give two shits about your victim mentality. They want you to give two shits about their victim mentality.
Right. They want to one up your victimness. It's like, oh, you think that's bad? Let me tell you about me. Although I can't imagine many people had a worse than you, but still.
So facts, you know what? We laugh a lot. I'm like, listen, we don't want to start the one up. We don't want to start one up in here. So
Yeah,
it's so funny. Yeah, I can trump everybody on that.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm laying there and want to, clearly I do. I want to die,
yeah,
and trying to figure out a way out of this thing. Not caring, not even thinking about how this is affecting my wife or my kids or my mom or my, and I think a lot of times in life we do not pay attention or take inventory on how our decisions are affecting other people.
right.
We just think of how, like, my entire family, friends, and now your listeners are experiencing just a little bit of paralysis
Yeah,
because of my decision. And with addiction, and we'll get to that.
yeah,
My whole family went through addiction, even though they never touched a drug, because of my decisions.
yep,
So for everybody listening, your decisions you're making, who do they affect? Because they affect hundreds, if not thousands of other people. Um, it's not just you. And I've come to realize it's this life, this existence, it's not about me.
yeah.
It's about us.
Yeah,
So,
I love that. Yeah, that's, due to the fact that, I run and operate a drug and alcohol rehab and we're anti-victim. That's a big turning point for a lot of people is in addiction, it's like, I'm just hurting myself, leave me alone. This is a me thing. And it's like for them to realize your me thing, look how it's affecting all these different areas of your life. And unless that's pointed out, you think you're only hurting yourself because that's part of the whole addiction trap of victimhood is like, it's, I'm not doing this to anybody. I'm doing it to me. And it's like, well, no, but you have an influence. So if we can get you in a better place, that could be a positive influence.
right. And then they can go and, but the first thing you got to do is get out of your head
Yeah.
and stop looking at how life is treating you. Look how the decisions you're making are affecting others.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, your life will change. It will. I promise you. You have my word.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's hard to do sometimes without, proper people, a good environment, getting those
Oh,
toxic people out because toxic people don't want people to get better, So if you're showing any signs of improvement, they're going to make sure they thwart that right away because like you said, misery loves company.
yeah.
People don't in that band of energy, they don't want to see people winning. That makes them feel worse about themselves. So they would prefer everybody come down to their level and then they feel like the top of the shit.
So true. You're
I'm the
right.
best worst person there
Yeah,
is.
I'm the best worst. I love it. It's so true. It is so true. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, in life, I tell you what, yeah. So so we talked about, I decided the following day, they moved me out of my hospital room into or out of, excuse me, they followed me, oh my hell, wow, let's cut that one out. Uh, so the following day, they moved me out of ICU into my own hospital room, and I'm going to share it. I don't ever share this story. I don't know why, but here it comes. And during ICU, so those 10 days and two surgeries, I was on hella medication, pain
Mm,
medication. And I was on
yeah.
the little pump,
Hmm.
the morphine pump every 12 minutes.
Yep.
Um, And before I'd gotten hurt, I didn't know the power of pain medication. I had no idea. So I hadn't had a BM, and I don't know how far we go with that. Is that a good enough description?
I totally know what you're saying. Yes, that's
Okay.
fine.
So I hadn't had a BM in the 10 days, and my stomach was distended,
Mm,
and I was in so much pain.
yeah.
This pain medication that's supposed to take away pain
Yep.
causes so many other problems. And
Yeah.
now you have to take stool softeners because all the things like
Yeah.
so I'm in a lot of pain. They gave me this super enema. They've given me suppositories, all these things. And it got later in the evening, still hadn't had a BM. They moved me into my own hospital room. And finally, around 10, 11 o'clock at night, that pain, you know, um,
Literally, you heard angels singing.
literally, like it hurt so much that I remember thinking, "Oh my gosh, this is so amazing! It's so amazing!" And for your listen, I was full of shit. So if anybody, yeah, my wife says I'm full of shit. Well, that day I was. So yeah,
Until the big release.
oh my gosh, oh my gosh, and it very quickly went from angels to okay, what now? What do I do?
Yeah.
Because when I went into the room, they hadn't set up my nurse call button.
Oh,
I was all by myself. The 10 days in ICU, my lungs, and I couldn't my voice was shallow and low and soft. And anyway, as it just continued to freaking
wow.
come, and I can feel it coming up my sides. I get to
Oh,
where
wow.
I can feel, and it's coming up my sides, and it's getting into my armpits. Now, remember, I can't sit up, I can't roll over, I don't have a nurse call, I don't, and it's coming up, it's behind my neck, it's in my hair, it's on my, and I'm doing everything I can. I'm yelling, nobody's coming,
Oh,
and so I start praying
mm,
and praying that somebody would come and save me, and nobody came.
mm,
Nobody came, man. And I broke.
mm,
Eh,
mm.
That's the only time in my life, wow, that I broke, man. I broke mentally. I felt abandoned by God. I felt abandoned by my wife and I felt abandoned, period.
Yeah.
And then you take that compounded with this fixation on suicide, and I checked out. I literally broke mentally. And if you have never broke mentally, you don't know what I'm talking about. But those that have, utterly shattered, physically, mentally, spiritually, broken,
Yeah.
utterly alone in my own fucking shit, man.
Yeah.
Uh, and so the following morning,
And you were like that all night?
all night, man.
Holy shit.
And
Literally.
that shit, that literally that shit had gotten into my brand new incisions.
Mm,
It had caused infection and caused these, oh, what the hell were they? These sores that they had to heal from the inside out. And so now I had to have my wounds packed every day and debrided. And um, yeah, it was a bad situation. It's the worst. It's the worst thing I've ever gone through.
yeah.
Second, I mean, narcotic withdrawals is the second, and
Yeah.
those two are close. Narcotic withdrawals didn't break me.
No.
This broke me. This
Yeah.
utterly broke me. Um,
And just that feeling of aloneness. Like there's in my mind, it's one of the worst feelings in the world. I've done a lot of work on this myself the last year is just feeling alone. Like that's a fucking awful feeling. And abandoned by God. Like that's
someone that you had talked to and relied on and as a
yeah.
comforter your entire life. I
Yeah.
grew up Christian and a devout, strong Christian, and
Mm,
at that point, it didn't nothing mattered. Like it didn't matter.
And you didn't hear like any affirmation in your head, nothing, just
No.
silence. Oh,
Yeah. Oh my God, that was horrible. Oh,
yeah,
that was horrible. Um, yeah. So the following morning, these two cute CNAs come into my
mm,
room at shift change, 25 years old, maybe.
yeah,
And they start cleaning me up, talking about their weekend. That was another thing. It was over a weekend. It was the perfect storm for that to
yeah,
happen.
yeah,
And they're talking about how they were clubbing at the weekend and rolling me back and forth, cleaning the sheets, replacing sheets, cleaning me. And they'd done it. They'd clean people up like that a million times. And they're going to do it a million times more.
yep,
But that was my first time. That was my
mm,
first time. And to be broken like that and then it not be treated with reverence or
yep.
with something. I don't even know what the word is. Because it's not it wasn't that we're doing anything wrong, you know, they
Yeah, they were business as usual kind of
right,
thing.
right. Like, hey, this freaking blowout is on this 30-year-old male,
Yeah,
and let's do our job. Let's clean them
yeah,
up. And but I was so embarrassed. I was so ashamed. I was boy, that was hard, man.
yeah.
That was difficult. Um, yeah, that's why I don't talk about this shit. I don't know. You're pulling something out of me that normally
Mhm.
doesn't come at me.
Well, it's no accident we had this podcast today. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Uh, yeah, so clean me up. And now I remember them leaving the room, and now I grew up in Salt Lake. So literally people from my neighborhood that I grew up in, all the way up to the University of Utah. My wife says 400 to 500 people had come to the hospital every single day
Wow.
at 10 days in ICU. Hey, how's he doing? Can I get in to see him? Because they would only let one person back at a time.
Yeah.
But now everybody could freely come into my room. And I remember the doors opening, and I remember seeing all the people outside my door.
Mm,
And I remember as I start funneling into my room, and I closed my eyes, and I wouldn't acknowledge anybody.
mm,
I would not engage in any conversations with anybody. I just wanted the nightmare over.
yeah.
And at the end of the day, after visiting hours, everybody left the room except my dad, my old man. And now I wouldn't even open my eyes or talk to my dad. And he pulled a chair over to the side of my hospital bed, and he said, "You know, Matt, this is paralysis. This is big. Not only my dad, this is my coach. This is
Yeah.
my guy, you know." And he says, "You can quit, Matt. We can all quit, but do you have it in you to dig in, dig deep, and get it done? Dig in, dig deep, and get it done."
Mm,
And he left the room. Now I remember it being dark. It was January, so it got dark early, and I wrestled with my dad's words the rest of the night, and I was pissed because he didn't feel how rubbery and heavy and how cold my legs were. He
yeah.
didn't. Who was he to say that, you know? And
Yeah.
so I'm like, okay, dig in, and instantly, now I hadn't developed the I'm the man yet, but dig in, and then life of paralysis, and then dig deep, well, life in a freaking wheelchair, and then get it done. And I decided, you know what? I'm gonna walk again. I'm Matt Blanchard. I'm 10 feet tall and bulletproof. I'm gonna walk again. So following morning, my occupational therapist comes bouncing into the room and says, "Hey Matt, what do you want to do? What do you want to do today?" I look right at him and say, "Casey, I want to walk."
Mm,
He is brilliant because he's heard this thousands of times, right? Like any paralyzed person, what do they want to do? They want to walk.
yep.
They want to be who they were. And I want to walk. He's like, "All right, cool, we'll walk. But first, I want you to get your socks on." And I literally laughed. Literally, I chuckle. "I get my socks on and we'll walk." And he's like, "Yeah, you get your socks on and we'll walk." I'm like, "This is my guy." So Casey grabs a pair of socks out of my drawer, throws them to me. I catch him, and he starts to leave the room. I'm like, "Yo, Casey, where are you going?"
Yeah.
we're going to walk. He's like, you get your socks on, we'll walk. So I'm looking down at my body, still can't sit up, can't roll over. And I sure as hell couldn't get socks on.
I can only imagine like trying to,
Oh my.
navigate that over, legs that don't move. It's like, how do I even reach?
But I couldn't even get to a sitting position where you're
Oh,
at
right.
reach over those legs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I tried like hell.
Yeah.
I had a brace that went from my hips to just underneath my clavicles so that I couldn't bend and twist with all those new rods and screws.
Oh, right.
So I start pulling at my legs. They're not coming. They're too big and heavy. I can't get the leverage. 40 minutes goes by.
Uh,
No socks. Not even close to having a sock on. And I'm sweating and I'm frustrated. So I start cussing because, I mean, just from this podcast, I start cussing.
yeah.
And the more frustrated I get, the louder I get. And so now I've got doctors and therapists coming into my room. Are you okay? What's going on in here? And I'm like, get my socks on. That's what's going on. So Casey comes into the
They're
room.
like, okay, see you later.
Yeah, they weren't having it. They
We'll
knew.
check on you tomorrow. Cool.
I just look on my face. They're like, ooh, okay, he's getting his socks on. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
He's getting his
Yeah.
socks on. And Casey comes in and, hey, Matt, it's been 40 minutes. Now, this is what kind of therapist Casey was.
Yeah.
He's like, it's been 40 minutes. I thought you wanted to walk, just like that. I'm like, really? I remember, really, dude? And he says, Matt, do you want help?
Mm.
Do you want help getting your socks on so we can go walk? Your goal of walking? I said, no, I don't need help getting my socks on. And I remember saying, who the hell needs help getting their socks on? And I realized today that we all need help getting our socks on. It's just my socks look a little different than maybe yours look, right?
Yeah.
So
I think it's interesting because neither your dad or this therapist, they didn't allow you to be the victim of this thing. They both treated you like, okay, now what? What are you going to do now? And that had to in itself start your healing because people aren't agreeing. This is terrible and awful. No, you poor thing. They're like, okay, it is what it is. So now what?
That's brilliant. You gave me chills. So, okay. So yeah. So everybody listening, there's your question you got to answer. Now what? Now what? Life just happened to you. Now what? Now what? Now what? Right? That's brilliant. Wow. Yeah. And Casey starts leaving the room, and I kid you not, he throws me a lasso, like cowboy Indian style. And so I start trying to lasso a foot that I can't see. Another 20 minutes goes by. So we're an hour in. I've used up every cuss word there is.
You got to be exhausted too.
Oh, sweat. There was an outline of sweat on the table.
Yeah.
And finally I wrote my right foot and I pull that bad boy up to me. And I'm so far gone mentally that I start having a conversation with my foot. I'm like, really, come on, it's been an hour. We got to walk, and expecting some type of response from a freaking foot that won't respond. So throw that back down at the end of the bed. And I lassoed my left foot the first time. I did. I was so proud of myself. And I pulled it up to me. I started commending it. Hey, good job. Good job. I was exhausted. And Casey comes walking into the room right then as I'm putting my sock on. He's like, Matt, you got your socks on. Hour, 10 minutes. Good job. Let's go walk. And I just gave him a look like, you kidding me, bro? We won't be walking today. I mean, you don't know what you don't know, right? I didn't know how to sit up. I didn't know I couldn't put my damn socks on.
Yeah.
And knowledge is power. So, I've got this goal of walking. I still have this goal of walking. Yeah. But before I do that, I've got to get my damn socks on.
Baby steps, which is it's like, it's got to be so hard when you have nothing but time, but you cannot force it. You can't force it any faster. It is the process. And that's so hard.
So hard. That sucks.
Yeah.
Waiting, patience, being forced into patience. Oh my God. Yeah, that's something else. That's something. But see, we did this for months. And one morning I woke up early and I thought, you know what, I'm going to beat Casey to the punch. And I had my sweatpants on and my socks on as he entered my room. And he's like, what do you want to? And I'm like, let's walk. Okay, I'll be right back. So he goes and grabs my physician, and they both come into the room because I'd been asking to practice walking for months now.
Yeah.
And let me make it pretty clear to everybody. I was a pain in the ass as a patient.
No. I can't buy that at all.
Yeah, it was gonna happen my way, damn it. All right.
Yeah. Oh
So
man. Your
they
poor
took it.
wife. That's what I'm thinking right now. Man, what she had to just hold space, because nobody can really understand what you're going through, and you've got to just know how to hold space and not take any of it personally.
My wife, um, she used to pray to God that I would be humbled and
Mm.
that I would need her. And that's what kind of guy I was before. You had two choices. You could get on my team or get out of my way.
Yeah.
And if you didn't want to, I would bulldoze you. It didn't matter. I was a different kind of guy, man. I mean, I
Yeah.
got shit done, that's for sure. But it came at a high cost. Okay, it came at a high cost. And the day I got hurt, my wife carried guilt for so long that her prayers had been answered, you know,
Mm.
and in some way she had contributed to my paralysis. Um,
Yeah.
and I didn't know this. I've only known this for a couple of years that
Wow.
she has carried that guilt for 15 years.
Wow.
Um, so, but it was true. She got what she asked for. I literally could not do anything without somebody's help. And I mean nothing without
Mm.
somebody's help. And so there's a lot of moving parts to recovery.
Yeah.
And those that you have affected and hurt are a huge part of that recovery, because they're recovering too, from
Yes.
damage. And and that goes back to, it's not about you. It's about what damage my decisions have made. How do I repair that damage? And then how do I make better decisions moving forward that
Hmm.
positively impact people? And that's where I'm at today. But I've learned that over the course of 19 years. It's going from get on my team, get on my team, or get out of my way, going from that to, not being able to do anything at all. Uh, it was humbling, to say the least. Humbling.
Yeah. And I just hear death to the ego. Like it had to die. And you being such a, uh, proud and confident man, that it took a lot to kill that fucking ego.
Oh,
Like unimaginable. A lot of people would never make it through this. And your strength you have and turned it into your superpower.
ego.
Yeah.
It
Not
really,
always bad. I know it has a bad
because
like connotation, but yeah.
I had to rely on that persona and literally fake it till I made it. I had to rely on who I used to be.
Yeah.
It was crazy. It was the biggest mind fuck on the planet. Excuse me, my language. I'm hurt, and all I want to be is who I was,
Yeah.
not realizing I could never be that person again, because the me of me that day had experienced way more than who I was. And
Mm.
but I was competing with myself. I was like, I just want to do what that guy does.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it because I believe I can be that guy. So I hid behind, boy, you are opening some shit today.
Mm.
Um, I hid behind my persona. I hid
Yeah.
behind that guy, because that's what that guy was a protector, and
Sure.
a safe place, a very safe place. Um,
Absolutely.
so I think my ego before my accident served me, but at the same time did damage almost on,
Yeah.
did damage just to show that it could do damage. Yeah, fucked up is that? Like,
It's fucked up.
let me tell you how fucked up. Here we go. Let me tell you how fucked up. That guy, that ego, that I'm the man, was so insecure that I would intentionally hurt people, and it would show me how much they cared about me,
Yeah.
and it would make me feel better to watch my wife cry or to see how pissed off I could get somebody. Because if you don't care enough, you're just like, fuck that guy.
Yeah.
Like, why do you even hang around that guy or deal with that guy? Look how much pain he's inflicting on you
Yeah.
intentionally. And it made me feel so good. It,
Yeah.
it the more pain I could inflict, the better I felt, because it showed me how much that person cared for me. How fucked up is that?
I mean, it's fucked up, but it makes sense. Hurt people hurt people. That's what we respond to. That's what we put out. That's what we think we're worth.
Mm, hurt people, hurt people. Wow. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Well,
Do you feel like with your faith that God gave this gift to you to put you on this path? Or do you feel like it was really your bad decisions that created your future?
I believe that it was my bad decisions. Or let me take that back. I believe it was my decisions that gave me the opportunity to
Yeah.
decide, what are we going to do with this?
Yeah.
I'm not a believer that God sets out specific challenges for us. I don't believe that I'm in a wheelchair because of pride and arrogance, not because God said, you know what, we need to humble this son bitch. Let's get him.
Yeah.
There's no way that happened. My relationship with God has gone from Christianity to agnostic to atheist, and now back to acknowledgement, I guess would be the best way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you are pulling shit out of me that I good job, seriously. I believe what are my beliefs? I believe in a God. I believe that this is his creation, that I am using his creation to communicate today.
Yeah.
But this is not me. I'm my energy, if you want to, if you will, or my spirit, that's me. This flesh and this thing stays. This is God's creation. So I acknowledge all of that. Boy, how far you want me to go down this rabbit hole?
As far as you want to go.
JC is just straight up badass, straight
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Um,
The big J.
the big J, man.
Yeah.
So what I experienced, oh, I'll be honest with you. I've been told not to talk about this because it's a dangerous, if anybody's wavering spiritually or with religion, it will fuck with you. So I don't know if we have that another day, or I don't know how deep to go with that, because I don't, that's not, if God, like, if God's your guy,
Yeah.
then God's your guy, and
Yeah.
if Buddhism, Christianity, Catholicism, whatever's your jam, then go get it. I am 100 in support of all that. I
Agreed.
I believe that religions segregate, and if I'm right, guess what? You're wrong. Um, I I believe that spirituality brings people together and is
Yeah.
all encompassing. Um, and I'll drop this bomb. The the picture that has been painted of the big J is not my picture. I do not believe that I need redeeming or a redeemer for my sins.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is what sins? What sins? And others might look at me, well, that's other people's judgments. And so if Catholicism is saying, hey, Matt, you're doing wrong things, bad things, you're breaking whatever, or you're breaking the rules. But Buddhism saying, hey, Matt, you're right on point. Or who's right, who's wrong, who's here to judge me? Homeboy, me, myself, and I.
Yep.
I don't need a redeemer to redeem me from sins that someone else said were sins, but this other person on this other side said, no, you're not sinning. Like, you know what? My goal is to be a better version of myself today than yesterday. And if I go to hell or whatever for that, so be it.
Yep.
But what sins? I'm just trying to be better today than yesterday. I don't need redeeming. I've got me, my wife. I acknowledge a creator, and I am very thankful for this creation. Do I pray? No. Do I meditate? Yeah. Do I it's I'm appreciative of this existence and what's been created, but I don't want to do this again. I just don't. I'm going on to the next thing.
Yep.
And I've seen the next thing briefly.
Mm.
Fucking amazing.
Was that during the accident or since that time?
Second one.
Okay.
Yeah. And so to pray to a God, I mean, I will acknowledge and like if something's beautiful or we experience something, I'll 100% acknowledge and give credit.
Sure.
But God is not going to come down and intervene.
Right.
JC's, no one's coming to help you, people.
Yep.
It's time to strap them up and get to work. Go. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I fully agree with you. I think spirituality is different for everybody. It's what resonates with you. My only objection is when it's used to push people into, shame, regret, lower vibrations due to be part of what they're offering. Again, this is me and my free will. So I like to believe what I believe. And I think at the end of the day, we all basically have the same beliefs. It's just, like you said, it's used to divide and control. And when it's used in that way, I don't know that it's a greatest good for us personally.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. I really do. So I really think, we're on this planet for, we get to experience this creation, let's just say an average of 100 years. And if you think about every living thing on this planet, it's right around an average of 100 years. And in the aspect of eternity, of eons, like 100 years is literally a blink of an eye. So the things I've been taught as far as religion goes, that's true. That is true. We're here that long. So your pain and suffering and everything you're going through right now, sweetheart, it's gonna be over in a minute. It's gonna be over in the blink of an eye. So endure long.
Endure and reframe. Again, like you said, it's not being done to you. It's not unsurmountable. It's how you look at it. Maybe, and that's why I spend a lot of time in gratitude. It's like, oh man, this sucks, but it could be a lot worse. Remember that thing and remember this and that. And no, at least the sun is on my face today. And, just like reframing all the adversity to being a positive. And then at least we're living in our best ways, not the victim of circumstance. We're in our own creation. And it's empowering when you're living in your own creation, good, bad, or ugly. You're like, that's what I do. I'm like, damn, why did I think I needed that lesson again? Well, here it is. Am I going to do it different this time?
It's interesting you bring that up because now, again, everybody, this is my belief. This is the way I believe. That's not the way anybody else needs to believe. So here's this trial that keeps coming up over and over and over again. Well, you've got this amazing opportunity of 100 years to go get through as many trials as you can.
Yeah.
Because now when we're on the other side of this and we're talking eons of time, guess what? If you don't resolve them here, you're going to have to resolve them sooner or later. So
Yeah.
take the blink of an eye to resolve your bullshit, or leave this life, this creation, and let's take eons to resolve your bullshit. Because that's what's coming. If anybody thinks that committing suicide or you're going to get out of this life because your problems are so heavy, and I get it. I know how debilitating that depression can be. I know how heavy that is. I know how paralyzing depression is. I get it. But if you don't do something about it, or if you think you're resolved to taking your life, which I've been there,
Yep.
it's just waiting for you. I swear to God, it is waiting for you. So you're not getting away from this. So dig in, dig deep, and let's fucking get it done.
Yeah.
And surround yourself with people who give you an opportunity to be successful and go work.
Absolutely. And one thing I've learned in this life is even just staying in this little blip of 100 years, if you don't get the lesson, guess what? It's coming back harder and faster than before. Oh, you still don't got it? Harder, faster than before. At what point are you going to be like, okay, I got it. Let me do something different. So that doesn't change when we die. Like you're going to come
Right.
back and it's going to be harder, worse than before. So get it right. Do the work.
Yes. So be thankful for the challenges you've got right now, because
Yeah.
like we've been saying, it can always be worse. And let me tell you,
Yeah.
it can be worse. Oh my
Yeah.
hell, can it? When you're sitting there thinking there's no way, that's
Yeah.
when shit says, that's when that really, let's see. Let's see.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So at what point, and this is so great that this is coming up because this is Mental Health Awareness Month. So it's right on par with what's happening in the world and the awareness towards that. At what point did things shift for you where you were on your new purpose with your disability, but utilizing that as your superpower? Like what sparked that change in your life to take that direction?
So great. Um, Little kids,
Mm,
you not, they don't have filters. If they and coming up to me, hey, what's wrong with your legs? Hey, what's going on? And then me being able to share, well, look, I didn't put my seatbelt on, so my legs don't work anymore. So and I started to see, holy shit, I can help people with this thing. And then kids are drawn to me. I have this God-given gift for kids, and I love kids.
yeah.
And I just show them how to live still. Like even if we're at the ballpark, hey, push me up the grass hill. Now somebody get on my lap and we'll do a wheelie down, or we'll go down some stairs, or just doing unique things and showing these kids that um, my wheelchair is just a vehicle. It doesn't define me.
Yeah.
It does not define me. I'm still Matt Blanchard. I can still make a great impact on this planet. So at that point, I saw, okay, there's a tool here. You can educate people to protect themselves so they don't make the same mistake as you. And then as further I went, the more people would come up and say, hey, will you share your story here or there? And then I just kind of slipped into speaking.
Yeah.
Um, and then that turned into a career. And now I get to do it all over the nation and help people hopefully avoid the decisions that I've made. Some of them that being said, there's only one decision in my life that if God came down and said, hey, you can go back in time, there's one decision in my life. Maybe that's for another time because it's not paralysis. If I had one chance, it's not taking away paralysis. It's something else.
Really, it's not putting on that seatbelt because that was my assumption.
Right. Um, Boy, why am I getting so deep and vulnerable with you today? Here you go. Going for it. I feel like we got to go for it. Here we go.
Let's
Um,
do it.
when I was young, when I was in junior high school, my little sister bugged the shit out of me. She was just that little girl that, that little sister that
It's
it
their
constantly,
job.
yeah, she's 8 years my younger than me. Um, and my parents had been divorced a couple times from and my new stepdad had told me, hey, just ignore her. Just pretend like she doesn't exist. And then she
Mm,
won't like you anymore. And he just so happened to be a counselor too. And so I really
mm,
trusted this guy. And I didn't talk to my little sister for 2 years. And in those 2 years, she didn't have anybody. My older brother had been kicked out of the house by my stepdad. My youngest brother was just too little. And in the short time period, at a very young age, she became pregnant at 15,
Mhm.
and then she was sent away. She didn't have anybody, and we
Yeah.
weren't safe growing up. We were not safe. Um, and if I could go back in time, now I love my nephew, and we all love my nephew.
Mm.
But if there's one thing I could change in my life, it would be those 2 years, because I could have, even being as young as I was, I could have protected my little sister, um, and
Maybe,
made a safe place. See,
maybe.
see how
Or
you're right.
maybe there would have been other things that she did because she had to create the experience she needed to create.
Mm, mm.
It's a lot to put on yourself because, we have our paths, and maybe yours was a kinder path than what she would have gone on.
I try to, I don't know if justify is the right word, or,
Yeah.
um, but I just try to, we were just kids, and we were in
Yeah.
some survival mode, man. Just
Yeah.
trying, just trying to fucking get through the day. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, that's
Yeah.
my one regret. I've never talked about that ever either.
Mm.
Um, that's the
Are
one
you
thing I,
guys are you guys close now, you and your sister?
yes, we're close, and we've talked about it. And
Mm.
yeah, she's forgiven me. But it was just hard. It was so hard growing up. It was just hard. And
Yeah.
but I wouldn't change growing up. Um, I just wish I'd have been there for her,
Yeah.
and I wasn't. And it was a conscious decision not to be. Like passing each other in the hallway, and she would push me, and I would physically push me, and I would just continue to walk on, like the wind had hit me, or people would call on the phone and ask for Kim, and I would say I didn't know who that was, and like fucking horrible treatment,
Yeah.
horrible treatment. Um, I don't know why I'm talking about this, but that's the one thing I would change in my life. Not paralysis, not paralysis twice, not drug addiction, not drug addiction twice, not withdrawals, not. I wouldn't even change that fucking day I broke. I would go back and change the way I treated my little sister. But we are
Now,
close. Yeah.
here's going to be a really deep question.
I didn't know
Do
I said,
you think that your feeling of being alone in the hospital was triggered because of your deepest
mm,
regret of leaving her alone?
um, maybe I was, goddamn, man, if that's the way she felt, I mean, I only felt that way. I only felt that way for 10 hours.
Yeah.
Goddamn, man, if she felt that way for years, that's something else.
I don't think so, though. Kids are so resilient. Like they're just resilient. They don't have what adults have in regards to that stuff.
Yeah, it's, boy, when you go through life, me and my wife were talking about it. When you're going through your trial and you look back on that trial, even you do not know how you fucking did it. You don't know. You just kept putting one foot in front of the other,
Yeah.
like, and just continued to move. I guess movement it would be the thing that helped me. Literal physical movement.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, when we speak, or when something like, I'm sure we'll talk about this after, and we don't know how we did it. Swear to God, we don't know how to. We don't know how we did it. We
Yeah.
just did what needed to be done. I mean,
Yeah.
God is I mean, it's as simple as that. Fuck.
We just
Yeah.
do it because what else are we going to do? Roll over and give up? Like, no, we're just going to keep moving forward. People depend on us. We depend on ourselves. Like, we just keep moving forward.
You know, I came home for the first time, and I wasn't at the hospital anymore. I wasn't walking. I knew I was walking out of LDS hospital. I knew it. And it didn't happen. And so we came home, and I decided I'm gonna do it. And I got my gun out of the safe, and I got in the shower, and put that damn thing in my mouth, and realized the first person that would be home would be my youngest son,
Mm.
and that he would be the one that would find me. And at the time, he was in second grade. And then I thought that will fuck him up. So it made me realize, again, coming, is that I'm not here for me anymore. I'm here for others. And literally my obligations to others, that's why you and I are having this conversation.
Yeah.
Is your obligation to other people. So I think it's important for people who are going through struggle, don't lighten the load for other people. This is just something on help them through whatever load they're going through. But
Mm.
it, on that day, willing to take it all and end it all, and then realizing how that fucking decision would impact and screw so many people up. I realized that it's not about me, and I've got to be strong for everybody else, and I've got to do this. So that day that was a huge. I don't talk about that ever either. That was a big day. That
Yeah.
was a big, because I it was just going to happen. You know, I never talked about it with anybody. It
Yeah.
was just gonna happen. And my last thought was my youngest son. Yeah.
And they're a blessing. And that's almost the thought I'm having with your sister is, that boy that she had gave her purpose, gave her company, gave her something to live for that she didn't previously have. So it was like the biggest blessing ever as she created that for herself, but to also be there for somebody else.
And she's the best mom. She was the
Yeah.
best mom. I mean, she didn't graduate from high school. She dropped, and there's not a better mother on the planet. There's not, and a better grandmother now. And
What?
because she got pregnant so early, she was the
Yeah.
first one. So she was the first one to introduce a baby to our family, and she was the first one to introduce a grandchild. And I tell you what, my sister, she's a badass bitch.
That's right.
And she will tell you straight up, she's a badass bitch because she does hard things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's interesting. The self-confidence comes from doing hard things, right? And if you've got hard things to do and you don't want to get out of bed, or you don't want to do the hard thing, you're not allowing yourself to grow and get more self-confidence, which is going to uh, give you the opportunity to go through more hard things, which is giving you the opportunity to gain more confidence, which is going to give you the opportunity for more hard things. And that's how it works, people. That's how it freaking works.
That's 100% how it works. And I think, in today's times, we shelter our kids so they don't have to go through the hard things that we went through. They don't have to endure what we did. They don't have to grow up poor or, neglected or any of the things. We overcompensate. And I'm speaking we as in me personally. We overcompensate to shield them from all that. But really, if we look at it like this, we're doing them a disservice because they're not going through the hard things, which is making them badass bitches or the man. We're like sheltering them from the hard stuff because we can and we care, but it's almost has a reverse effect. So we, like you said, we've got to be there for them but not take it away from them.
Right. It's so true. We've got to be there for them, to let them fall down so they can feel the pain of falling. Where if we never let them fall, they'll never experience what that is. Yeah, but be there to help them get up and dress the wounds and tears and smack them on the butt and say, hey, let's go again. Let's go do this.
Yeah. Yeah.
You think about it. When you're learning to ride a bike, someone you love and trust lets go of that damn thing.
Yeah.
So parents, you've got to let go. You do. You've got to let your kids fail. You've got to let them experience pain. Yeah, it's important. It's imperative. It's
Yeah.
paramount.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why this year my big lesson was just holding space, not fixing, just holding space. And that's really hard for me, as a CEO, as a counselor, as a mom. Like I fix, 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 fix. That's what I do. Oh, I have your answer. I have your situation. And it's like, nope, just freaking hold space. That's all you got to do. Let them figure it out.
I'm in that lesson right now, girl. I am in that. Boy, 'cause yeah. But I'm also a big fan of letting them struggle. Big fan. Because the bigger the struggle, the bigger the reward, the bigger the self-confidence hit, the bigger boost, the bigger, hey, the next time the challenge comes up, are they gonna shy away from that challenge? Or are they gonna be like, I got this mother trucker. Like, watch this. I got this. And that's what I've raised. That is
Yeah.
what um
Heck yeah.
yeah.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I killed it as a father. Straight up killed it as a father. And you ask my kids, they'll tell you, my dad killed it. You bet.
Nice.
Um,
Hell yeah.
as a husband, still working on that. Still working. So, and then, we talked a little bit. My wife's a badass bitch and she knows it. Um, she's a queen, and I do my damnedest to treat her as a queen every day.
Mm.
Some days I falter, but most days because I'm conscious of it.
Yeah.
Like with that voice in my head saying, I'm the man, I'm the man, I'm the man. My relationship with my wife and how I treat my wife is at the forefront of things. So even before I speak with anything to do with my wife, the first words in my mouth now is your queen. You are going to either start talking about your queen or you are going to address your queen. And she needs to be addressed that way.
Nice.
So yeah, I mean, I'm doing better. I'm doing
Dude,
better.
you're light years ahead of the majority of men. I know. I mean, this is amazing.
Listen, okay. I'll be honest with you. I will be honest with you. I will be in conversations with my wife, and she knows this. She knows this. And in the early parts, the things where she would say something and I wanted to fix or respond or whatever, I would literally tell myself, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up, and just listen. Just listen. And it's a joke now between us because she says, you know what? When you talk, I just say, so we're learning, it's a constant evolving issue. So
Heck yeah. Well, at least you're still working on it. You're both cognizant of the work that needs to be done. And, that's a winning combination. I think as long as you're in a relationship where equal partners are doing the work, it's not one person doing all the other work and the other one's like, thank God you got a lot of work to do. But you're like both like, we're a work in progress. And as long as you're both doing the work, I think, nothing will stop you guys. You'll be at that 100 in no time.
oh, I believe that too. I know that. I really do. Because
Yeah.
we're badass mother truckers and we get shit done. We do. We do.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, I've had the best conversation with you today. I appreciate you so much.
You are welcome. And we didn't even get to anything, I swear. We need to do this again sooner than later.
Let's do it. I would love that. Yeah, you're right. I mean, we just scratched the surface of all the stuff that we could do. So would love to have you on again. And if there's anything that I can do to help or forward your cause and what you're out there doing, please let me know that as well.
I will do that. Thank you very much.
Awesome. All right. Well, luckily you have your internet back for the day. And I know you'll probably be hitting the gym here soon and getting a good sweat on.
Yep. That's what I do.
Right on. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been an amazing day. I appreciate it.
All right. You too. Have a good one.